Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Parent says, I feel so bad about this. Should I though? So my son gets in-home therapy and he actually really loves it. However, a while back, I had to tell the main lady at the office that one woman really wasn't working out. She was a really cool person, but she wasn't actually doing anything with my son, but sitting there and playing on her phone. So I said it wasn't working. No big deal. Now, though, he has 3 that come over and he loves them and they play with them. And we've seen great strides in many aspects of his life. Well, they just included a 4th person. And to be quite frank, she's rude and disrespectful to my whole household. She's been there several instances over the past 2 weeks, but the ones that really got to me were, one, first and foremost, the way she talks to my son. She's very rude to him and says insensitive things. She rolls her eyes at him and makes a point to show him that he's irritating her. Just very unprofessional, not cool at all. 2, she told her boss that my house was dangerous. It's not. Yes, it can be a bit messy, but I also have 2 other children and I'm in my 3rd trimester of being pregnant. So, there are no dangers at all. 3, she judges my other children and makes statements on their behavior. Like, I would never let my children act like that. Wow, somebody needs to learn manners. I'm actually very proud of how well my children act. Not taking credit for it. They're just pretty good kids. It's mentioned on a regular basis when we go out. I mean, 1 is 4, 1 is 8, and 1 is 9. They don't act super crazy, but they are kids nonetheless. The first time they were arguing about who was going to be which doll, and the other time my sister, my oldest wasn't super enthralled with a book I picked up for her. So she was like, oh, thanks. Anyway, I don't want to seem stuck up or anything, but genuinely feel judged by this lady. So I told the office lady again that it wasn't going to work. Didn't give the examples of instances, but I said, I was sorry. We really want to keep him in therapy. He loves it and needs it. I don't know. I just feel like, how is she going to help if nobody in my house is cool with her? And I love this question because I think this happens, all the time in homes where parents go, this person isn't going to really work out for a reason. They go to the office and they say, so we just don't want this person. And they don't give reasons why. And then the next person comes and is twice as bad as the last person. And they go, yeah, we don't want this person either. And you and I both know what happens then. Then the parent gets labeled as somebody who's picky and finicky and doesn't really want their child to do therapy, which is not what we're hearing from this parent. So help us all here, Dr. Granpeesheh. Yeah. What should a parent be doing when things like this are happening?
Yep. And I will tell you that even kind of, Shannon, when I was running CARD, as CEO, right? It doesn't happen very often that you hear about all of these types of things because you're running a big organization. But when I used to hear about these things, I would often get pretty upset on behalf of the parent. Like, I feel what happens, unfortunately, is that there's an operations manager or there's like an office lady, whatever their title is at whatever company, and they are not a clinician usually. So they're not really concerned about, what is the best fit in this household? How do I make life easier for this parent? All of the things that the clinical staff is supposed to actually care about, right? Is that we're here. I mean, every ABA organization says that they're there to make your life easier by helping and teaching your child. So clearly, in this case, that's not happening. Clearly, in this case, this individual is actually adding stress to your family, stress to you, which isn't okay. And you shouldn't feel bad about it. Sometimes you will have an operations person or an office manager who might actually become vindictive if you go in and complain about a couple of therapists. But here's how I would do it. I would list all the exact issues, like you just gave us pretty good examples. But like, take the time to list some of those issues and say, I don't like how she talks to my other children. Here are three examples.
Yeah.
I don't like the way that judges us. Here are three examples of things she says. I don't like the way she talks to my child. Here are three examples. And take those to the office manager and just say, these are the reasons that I don't think this is going to work. Now, you could also, and this depends on your personality, a lot of times as parents, we kind of want to avoid more confrontation and stuff than we have. Like, it's just enough, right? I mean, the world, there's enough on our plates that we don't want to deal with this. But some parents will come to the office manager and say, these are some of my issues. I'm happy to work with this person and tell them, don't talk to my child this way. Don't talk to my other kids this way. Don't make me feel judged. I'm happy to do all that. But I want you, office person, to know this is where I'm coming from. And the office person will either tell you, yeah, go right ahead, or no, we're going to actually put this in this individual's file and we're going to teach them. Now, this goes back to the whole concept of how important it is to give other people the opportunity to improve. Like, you are actually, by going to the office person, they will potentially either teach this person, they'll write them up, they'll tell them what's right and what's wrong, and they'll teach them, in which case you've now saved the next family from this type of behavior. Or they'll go and reprimand the person and the person will quit. In which case, good, because this type of person shouldn't be in this field anyway. So there's nothing you're doing wrong here. You definitely need to defend yourself and your child. That is the most important thing here, your children. Whoever walks into your home needs to adhere to your rules. And you know what? If the ABA company doesn't give you therapists and they drop you, who cares? There's so many ABA companies nowadays. You cannot have someone in there who's not doing the right thing or is just making you feel bad. Just reading those things, made my blood boil. So you shouldn't put up with it.
Can I say though that on the flip side, because I think a lot of times we're so worried about what they think of us, and she's got 3 therapists that are great.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that I always would say to parents is, for every time you complain, make sure that you're doing 2 things to compliment.
Yeah.
So for the 3 therapists that are rock stars, what I would be doing is having all of your kids sit down and draw cards, and the older kids write a poem or something, and you write a really wonderful note and say, I just want, Jacob to know how meaningful he is in our lives, and give that to, go in and say, here's what we did with these 3, because these are the 3 therapists that are doing remarkable, so that you're constantly also praising where it's appropriate and not always complaining. Because Dr. Granpeesheh, I don't know how much you were aware, but I was a problem parent.
Yeah, you were at the same time loved by so many, Shannon. So that's
I tried to remember to compliment when appropriate, so that when I complained, and I also would say, what can I do to help? I did this at school. I got marked right away as the difficult parent. And I said, how can I volunteer to be on the PTA? And they said, well, you can run the bake sale. And I said, hey, I'm happy to run the bake sale. I'm not going to be good at that. And do you have a play you need directed? And they went, oh, as a matter of fact, we do. And then for years I directed the play. And then I would go in and before rehearsal and I would say, does anybody need anything copied? I was constantly sucking up. Because if you're going to be a complainer, you got to balance it with other things. And I would write letters of recommendation for teachers that were good. So what happened is that people who were doing a good job suddenly wanted to be on my kids' team.
That's right.
Because they knew they were going to get letters of recommendation from me. So I say be a squeaky wheel, but also be the person who's buttering everybody's bread. As whenever somebody's doing something good, you be the first person to say it out loud and draw it on a card and give it to them.
Exactly.
because heaven knows those people need to be rewarded. If you've got 3 therapists that are doing a kick butt job,
It's awesome.
you know, I would be rewarding those 3. And I'll tell you what'll happen. You'll end up getting a 4th therapist who's better. But don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.